are listening to a High Standard production.
All right, man. Welcome back to the Geekset podcast, the only podcast that blend hip-hop culture and geek culture together. I'm your boy Deuces in the building, and this is One-on-One with Deuces, the place where I speak with curators, creators, and people that you should know. And right now, man, I got a very, very, very special guest, man. And I've been practicing your name because I wanted to make sure I said it correct. It is Joivan Wade, correct?
It's Joivan Wade.
Oh, Joivan. I throw in too much Y's.
Yeah, you know what it is. It's the I throws people. It's it's spelled Joivan, but it's French, so the I has an accent, so it's just Joivan.
There we go. So, man, how's things been for you, man? How has COVID been treating you, man? What's going on?
COVID has been an experience, I think, in the same way it has for everyone. Everyone's had their different experiences. For me, it allowed me to focus on me, a lot of my own personal projects and personal developments, getting them off the ground, and also just having time to create. And I had actually planned to do too much when we finished season 2 of Doom Patrol. And so I kind of planned to just be in my house for a couple of months anyway. Mm-hmm. So it kind of ended up putting me in that position, so it wasn't too bad for me.
Okay, well, but here's the thing, and this is what I've tell a lot of other people, like speaking with creators and creatives, it forces you to like start working on other projects that you may have not done. I know that prior to you, like, you know, jumping full-fledged into the acting and everything, like you did have your crew, the Wall of Comedy, like your brothers that you now those and that you was putting out content with, and I know that like that had stopped because you were getting more roles and stuff like that. So it's like, I'm in my head, I'm thinking like, okay, now you got an opportunity to, well, let's write this out. Let's plan this out, because you have that time that you're sitting down and not able to do too much.
Exactly. I think, you know, it provided us all, especially creators, with the time to kind of just work out, well, what can we do? And I think development is one of the biggest things, because that's one of the only things that we can actually do. A lot of time, we can't be out there, we can't be filming, we can't be doing too much, you know, physically. So what can we develop? So I just spent a lot of time just developing, man. And my companies, the Wall of Comedy, you know, ended up evolving into a multimedia company. So we have the Wall of Comedy, we have the Wall of Productions, the production company, the Wall of Talent, the talent management company. Nice. So all of that and all those ventures we were creating, and we've just been developing, man, in the lab for the last few months, just kind of getting stuff ready for 2021.
Man, that's dope. And that's what it is all. That's the name of the game right now. Preparing for 2021. You know, hopefully when everything opens back up, you know, you'll start seeing a lot of people coming out with some really, really dope things and everything. One of the things that you started also, or at least I started seeing, is you started doing more vlogs and kind of like self-help, kind of you giving your thoughts, your process, things that helped you and everything. How important is self-help for you?
Yeah, man, it's everything for me. I think that's my foundation. My mom, she is a life coach. And so from a very young age, I've been installed with everything in which I need self-help, motivation-wise, in order to make me the man that I am. And my dad was the hardest working man that I knew. So marrying the self-help alongside the hard work is what kind of brought me to where I am. And I just want to use my platform to have an opportunity to help others and really install that belief system, because essentially self-belief is the number one. When it comes to, you know, even mental health, and believing that you can do something, believing that you are who you are supposed to be, and whatever I can do and offering my 2 cents to that and contributing to the world is everything that I'm going to do, man. Hence Wade's world.
Right. No, and it's really dope. And, you know, especially in this time where just like so much is going on, especially us as Black men, we definitely need to make sure that we can have some ways to, you know, have like some mental check-ins with the self-help. That's one of the things that I didn't know. Like you never know where people stand in general, right? You know, and I know that things can get crazy, but it was refreshing to see like when you stood up and when you were, you know, you did your spoken word about Black Lives Matter and everything. And I'm like, you know, one, I didn't know that you did poetry or stuff like that. So like that was something that was dope. Like, oh, he does that. But then it was like, you know, it's always refreshing to see the people who though they're in a better situation where they don't necessarily have to deal with it as much, that they still are connected to the people enough that they can speak out and use their voice and their platform. So like that was very refreshing to see that as well.
No, I love that, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I feel like not enough of us that have a platform are using it in order to impact and change lives. And so whatever I can do, and spoken word being, something I'm very passionate about, hence that piece in which was created, which is actually a part of the piece in which is coming out today, Wade in the Water. That was
Yep.
that was an extract which was taken from there. And yeah, man, I can't wait for people to see this. And filmmaking is my expression, my opportunity, my way of being able to connect with the world and put out that message. So yeah.
So I wanted to ask you about Wade in the Water, actually. So what is Wade in the Water? Can you like tell the people what exactly that is?
Yeah, so Wade in the Water is it's a spoken word short film. It's basically marrying spoken word with cinematic visuals, and so hence we call it Spinema, spoken word and cinema.
Nice. Nice.
And it's we're going back and looking at Wade in the Water and the Negro spiritual anthem in which got our ancestors through slavery in such a tough time, and kind of taking that perspective of, okay, well, where are we actually now? Although we've had the physical chains off of us, we're not actually free, and almost in a position of modern day slavery where we're taken to a position where we are now sitting in what is a very similar situation to where we was before, but now it's just a mental chain as opposed to something which is completely physical. So yeah, man, Wade in the Water is a very powerful short film in which is going to speak to the masses. We have three different perspectives. Myself, coming, being a black British man with Jamaican heritage, now living in the US and experiencing this firsthand. And then we've got Llewellyn C. Radford the second, in which is my brother. He's the second poet we see in the piece, and his perspective is, that kind of real, I am a black man in America, and you are killing my people. And he has this really coined phrase, which is, what if we were the shooters? And asking that question to our white counterparts and our allies to say, well, if the shoe was on the other foot, how would you guys be, responding to this?
Right.
Because we're pretty much, going about it in the best possible way. And if we were the shooters, then I don't think this would be the way that you guys are going about it. So, take that on board and stop killing us. And then we finally have David Bianchi, my brother, who is kind of coming from a real, more even so, factual point of just actually educating us and educating our people as to where we're at, where we were, and
Right.
where we are now. And, those three perspectives alongside a film, a storytelling narrative, which combines and which, is a through line throughout the piece.
Man, that's dope. That's definitely dope, and I'm definitely going to make sure I check that out, because I was seeing the promos and I was like, it looked really, really dope. Like, and that's another thing that I noticed. Like I said, with you being like a filmmaker, director, actor, even in your vlogs, like just the way the positioning of you in the vlogs and like where you're at and the aesthetics of it, like I can tell that you put a lot of thought into your craft when you're doing that. So that's why, like, being able to see creatives create like in their world, like it's so dope to me, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm excited about that. So let's talk about Cyborg. So one, like I said, coming into it, I know like your brother from another mother box, as you guys say, Ray Fisher, has been very, very vocal about you stepping into that role, which is also always dope to see the past and the present, or just in general when it's two people working on it and everything like that, working on the same type of character combined. Like that's always dope to see. Have you been able to get a chance to connect with the OG Kari Payton?
Not yet,
Not yet,
man.
Oh
Nah,
man.
that's the OG. I really want to connect with Kerry, legend. Like I always kind of say, my first real experience of Cyborg was the 2003 edition of Teen Titans for Cartoon Network, and
Yeah.
that was all Kerry. You know what I mean? And I draw a lot of my reference and a lot of what I wanted to bring to the character from that version of the character, because that is what really kind of ministered to me and connected me with. So yeah, man, I haven't yet been able to connect with him. Hopefully, I don't know, one day at a Comic-Con or some sort, we'll be able
Right.
to connect. But yeah, man, Ray shows love, and you know, amongst the battle that he's facing with Warner Brothers currently, for him to kind of step out, you know what I mean, and show that love was really appreciative. So yeah, man, we're connected and we're cool. But yeah, hopefully one day I'll get to connect with Kerry.
Yeah, because that'd be super dope. Like I was funny because when I was watching Doom Patrol, I'm like, all right, when he gonna say the line? When is he gonna say the line? And then when you came in and shot him, it was like, boo, yeah. I was like, yeah, there you go. Because like it's iconic. It's like it's the line.
That's it. It has to be. It has to be done. You know.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it's such an honor to be able to play such a compelling character, man. It's what I would say is that he's the biggest black superhero, period, across Marvel, across DC. You know, you look at the two superhero teams in the Justice League and in the Avengers, which rounds up all of the biggest superheroes from those two universes. And, you know, Cyborg is the biggest black superhero amongst both of them. You know, you got Falcon, but Falcon is not as big as Cyborg is. And so it's just a complete honor to be able to play such an iconic character and be able to put my spin on it. So, yeah, I'm glad that people are enjoying it.
Right. Now, you said that you used to read comic books as a kid. Like that was a big thing about your upbringing. And then getting into acting. So obviously everybody has that like, oh man, I would love to play this person. Was Cyborg on your list of people that you wanted to play? Or like when that script came across, like what was going through your head?
100%. I think, you know, there's only a few of us. There's only a few black superheroes we could play, period. So, and you know, always been one to reach for the stars. But I actually had a bit of a different situation when it came to the role. When it first came across my desk, I wasn't actually for it. The reason being is because it was so long filming, and I was at a pivotal point within my company where I didn't feel like I could take 8 months away to be able to film. And so because of that, I was like, okay, this isn't something that I can take on right now. But then, you know, it came back around after time, and then eventually the Purge came out. Greg Berlanti saw me in the Purge and then decided, look, he's my Cyborg. And, you know, we had a Skype session, and during that session with him, Jerry McCarver and Jeff Johns, they sold me the project, and then I was in. And yeah, the best decision that I could have made.
Yeah, no, you're definitely is the one, because what I like about your portrayal of Cyborg is when you read the comics and even when you watch the shows, like, yes, Cyborg is very serious, but he has that comedic aspect. And I know that you know, I'll dibble dabble into comedy. You like, you know, doing comedy and everything. So I know that like you got to be able to turn it on and off with Cyborg. You got to be able to have that. And so like when you see, you know, certain episodes in Doom Patrol where you do get to show your comedic side, or you do get to have those quick, you know, banters back and forth, I think that you portray it very well, that it doesn't even take away from the character, because then you have those serious situations with Vic's dad, and or serious situations with, you know, just the team. And it's like, I think that your acting skill set was perfect for that portrayal.
Thank you, bro, and I appreciate it, man. I just wanted him to be real. I wanted him to be a real person. My take on this character has been very specific in bringing to life Vic Stone. My version of the character, I always wanted to have Vic Stone at the forefront as opposed to Cyborg. He is already Cyborg. There's nothing you can do about that, and you see that through and through. Half of his body is cybernetic, so you don't have to focus on that, and we don't have to, you know, really kind of lean into that, because he is what he already is from what we see from his shell. So I really wanted to focus on Vic Stone and him just being, you know, and feeling like you can connect with just a regular black guy from Detroit that any young black man can look at and be like, yo, before he got his cybernetics, or even with his cybernetics, that's my homie, that's my G, you know what I mean? Like, I could see myself chilling with that guy and playing PlayStation or going to the club or whatever it is, like, and focus on that element of it. And I feel like, you know, there was a real setup in season 1, but season 2, I feel like, you know, I really narrowed in on that Vic Stone experience, and especially, you know, with the storyline, really helped to kind of strip that back, because it was so focused on, you know, his vulnerability and, you know, even physically coming out of Cyborg and him turning off Grid, you know, and that when he goes into therapy. So yeah, man, that's always been my ambition for the character, and I'm working harder and harder on that relatability and making that version as close to, you know, that balance of comedic versus, you know, serious when we need it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, and what also you guys got some parallels. You know, he was a football player, you played football, and so it's like it's kind of like it was written, like it was written. Like, yeah, I gotta be here, man. You know what? Me and my so this is like I said, this is a podcast, and me and my podcast buddies, we always talk about what I think DC should do is because though the movies, like I said, are already established, but I feel like a lot of people, because of long form content, they get married to the characters from the shows. Like Grant Gustin is my Flash. You know, you have became my Cyborg, and I always think that what DC should do, because it'll be something that it'll be different from what Marvel is doing, but it will give them their own realm, is invest in the TV show characters on the big screen. Because I think that would be dope, because you already got the fan base of Doom Patrol and the people who love you guys. So like, let's say we was to try to put together the Justice League based off of the show characters. I mean, that Superman and Supergirl was pretty dope. Even though I do like Henry Cavill, but like I said, Grant Gustin is my Flash. You are my Cyborg. The guy who did Deathstroke in the Flash. That's like, he's my favorite Deathstroke. And I was like, it's kind of like if the fans could put together a dope ensemble for a show, I think that would be a dope route to go, because it'll expand those characters, especially with Cyborg being a part of so many crews. I mean, he was part of Doom Patrol, Teen Titans, Justice League, and it's just so much that they can do with his storyline.
That's it. I couldn't say I disagree with you, man. I think that, you know, when it comes to the universes, I do feel like that's also what keeps us invested, you know, like when I look at the Marvel universe versus the DC universe and the films, the reason why we are so invested in, say, the Avengers is because we've had 3 or 4 movies with the Hulk by himself. We had 3 or 4 movies with Iron Man by himself. So we invest in those characters from those movies almost as if they were TV shows, because we've had so long that we've lived with those characters and got to learn and love them. To then, when it comes to the Avengers, I already know everything about all of these characters individually. And yeah, I feel like that's where DC is winning currently when it comes to the TV world and TV space. Yeah. You know, our shows are really, really strong, and we definitely have one up on Marvel. But I do believe, you know, Marvel in the space of the movies is killer. And so, you know, when we take those ingredients and what makes that killer, I completely agree with your perspective on that, and an avenue that they could and should potentially go down.
Yeah. So so let's talk about the Purge a little bit, because that's one of those movies that, like, you know, the movie itself is a character, right? You know, you get it's like the Saws, like there's so many of them that like the movie itself is in there. However, like said, in that first Purge, there was a lot of strong characters that stood out. You know, your character being one of them, being able to just kind of establish yourself in his universe. What was it like? Or I guess what was your thought process going into getting the Purge?
Yeah, man, the Purge was amazing. Naturally, it being my first role within Hollywood, and also it being like such a huge franchise, it being a blockbuster movie, and that was all I prayed for and dreamed of. You know, coming into Hollywood and being able to lead in a huge blockbuster movie. So yeah, it was amazing, and also just the actual take on this version of the Purge being, you know, what we was calling, you know, is the Black Purge. There's a all black cast, is black themes, you know what I mean? You got purge parties, like that whole thing. It just also felt very real and ministered to me in the sense of, raw, this actually feels like this could happen. Like,
that's what I was going to say. I legit said that. I was like, because I was like, the way black people approach things, like we have a purge, like we're not going to think crime right off the bat. We're going to throw a party, like let's turn up, and then it would be the powers that be like, wait, this is not going how we want it to go. Let's force this purge. And I was like, that was my exact thought when watching that movie.
That's it, bro. And it's like, yeah, it was amazing. The team behind it, the director Gerard McMurray, phenomenal director, and yeah, man, he gave me a real shot at stepping into this. And I had a whole, you know, crazy story. I'm going to release this as an actual video, but you know, in even getting the role, it was literally down to the wire of me being able to get a visa to play the role, to the point where, you know, the execs and the producers were trying to move on because it was crunch time. But Gerard, the director, he hung in there. He was like, nah, this is my Isaiah, and we're going to wait for him. And so, you know, we got to that place, and yeah, I'm forever grateful, especially off the back of the fact that, I got Cyborg from Greg seeing me in the Purge. So had the Purge not happened, I wouldn't be
Right.
Cyborg right now. So yeah, man, that's it was a dream for me. That movie was it.
Hey, I want to talk to you today about GeeksetPodcast.com, the only place that blends hip-hop culture and geek culture together in one place, and the only place to get your official Geekset swag. Go to our shop and view our wide selection that we offer, from the No Dubs collection, Big Bit Tees, Talking That Geek-ish, and more. Today, use code Deuces during checkout to get 10% off your next purchase. Then, take a picture and post it on Instagram using the hashtag Geekset for a chance to be featured on our page and a chance to win extra deals in the future. So don't hesitate. Drop by the website today. Listen to our latest episode, watch our latest videos, read our latest reviews, and shop with your favorite geeks. GeeksetPodcast.com.
Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
Systematical fact, systematically that, for the last 400 years, there have only been 60 years that it hasn't been legal or politically correct to beat or destroy a person who is brown or black.
Now I know you've heard that line like a million times, just like that whenever a black man loses his life.
What if he were else? Karim, a Tatiana, or the many black men and women who lost their futures?
Done so much.
It sounds like you make a hell of a first impression, because like in 2 movies, it was like people was like, no, we're going to wait for him. We want him. like you make one good first impression, and then like they're like, yeah, no, we're going to what we need to do to get him there, right? So I guess when it comes down to just like the role, because I know that one of the things that like you wanted to do and you started your YouTube page for it is because you kept on getting typecasted. So you was like, I want to show my diversity. So you started your YouTube show, Mandem on the Wall, right? And then you started that so that way you can like tell these stories and show that diversity. Do you feel that you're at that point now where like you're not going to get typecasted?
Yes. I'm not going to get typecasted because I'm not going to allow myself to get typecasted.
Speak on it, King. Speak on it.
That's just, it's just not going to happen. But even just being in the position that I'm in currently, like I led in a sci-fi world, it being, 2 sci-fi worlds now, because also the superhero world, but the Purge being a sci-fi world, and although it was a character in which was a young black man, from New York, Staten Island, who, ends up getting into, dealing drugs to try and find a way to help his family. The world of that film was a sci-fi world, you know what I mean? And that's something in which we're not used to. We're used to just playing hoodie number 1, 2, and 3. And then when it came to Doom Patrol, another sci-fi world, and I'm playing a superhero. And when you're playing a superhero, you like at that point, like there's no typecast, right? Because I'm playing he's a superhero. Right. So off the back of that, I do hope and pray that allows people to, see my range and see what I can do, and therefore, get me a part of projects in which minister to me, and I will only take roles in which I feel like will help that trajectory of what I'm trying to showcase as a performer, as an artist. And the typecast is not going to happen because I won't let it.
Dope. I mean, because like you're also part of another big fandom in the Doctor Who and the Who people, because you were Rigsy in Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
Like you.
I'm just.
No, I was gonna say which fandom has been crazy? Not crazy in a bad, but just more crazy. The DC fanboys or the Whovians?
I think the Whovians are the biggest fans in the world.
Yeah, they are huge.
I don't think there is a stronger fan base. And you know what? I don't dictate this on who speaks the most. I dictate this on who connects the most. I received more fan mail for that show than 10 times any of the fan mail that I've received for all of the shows and all of the projects that I've done, period. Like Doctor Who, literally, I would have like maybe 12 letters a week from, you know, fans in which would send in. And those were just people that were sending in letters, let alone people who would reach out or send me a photo to sign or whatever it is. I'm talking like full on letters. Hi, Joivan, my name is Jack. I really love Doctor Who. I loved your portrayal as Rigsy. I was wondering X, Y, and Z and this and that. But, you know, so like I haven't got that in that magnitude from any other show in the velocity in which I got it from on that show. So yeah, I would have to say that, yeah, the Whovians are the biggest that I've come across. Anyway.
That's dope. No, that makes sense.
But the DC, the superhero world is like, oh my goodness. When the whole thing happened with Ray Fisher, where I put out those 2 pictures and said "Booyah," and that was off the back of, you know, him going into what he was going into with Warner Brothers, and people thought I was throwing shade at Ray, and I had a load of the Snyder Cut fans come onto my Twitter and start getting at me, and it was like, okay, so you guys do exist. You just come out when you wanna, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's been amazing to be a part of these fan bases, and these fan bases are huge, and so therefore, yeah, it's just growing my profile, and it's a great place to be.
Well, I mean, it puts you, like, you're going to be forever remembered as that, because you got to think, prior to the Justice League, like I said, we had Carrie and he was the voice actor, but we didn't have too many physical versions of Cyborg. And then, you know, we got Ray Fisher, we got you. So it's like, you know, right now it's like you guys are shaping it, right, to the point where it's going to be hard to see somebody else as you. Like we talked about this on the podcast as well. Robert Downey Jr. did Tony Stark so well that we know that
100%, bro. Bro, that is like the best example ever.
Yeah.
Because Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark, he was the comic book Tony Stark.
He was.
Like he is Tony Stark, to the point where I don't think I can see anyone in that role.
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard.
It's crazy. So yeah, like even I'm like he was actually one of my inspirations when I was actually working on Cyborg. Just looking at Robert Downey Jr.'s process and how he created his version of Tony Stark and how he fell in love with the guy outside of the suit was a real inspiration to me of what I was trying to depict and separate with Cyborg. So yeah, I completely get that example and couldn't agree more.
Well, here's where I think that you're on that right path, because the one thing that Robert Downey Jr. did was he embodied in the character. He did the research, and on outside of the movie, he was still talking about Tony, talking about the Avengers, talking about Iron Man, and that's what, like, I see that with you on your social media pages. Like you use the Cyborg gifts, you embodied it to the point where people are going to automatically always envision you as the Cyborg. And I think that that's what builds that foundation. It's the long form content. It's the believability. It's the person who knows the lore, who knows their history of the character, and the person who puts their foot forth and like embodies that character. It's the actors that you see where they do the movie, they do the show, and that's it. Those are the ones that we don't connect with 100%, because it's like, oh, it's more so a job for you, which is not a bad thing to approach it. Why? Because you are still an actor, but like, it's one of those things, like certain things are just has such a love of, their fans love it so much that they love to see anybody that fully embraces it. So I think that that's where I see that you're going to be kind of like going down that same path, because season 3, everybody's excited about that. I know I am. You guys left us with a huge cliffhanger. It's like, wait, what?
Oh man, that's it. Like,
Yeah.
why I can't wait to get into season 3, man. We get, like, in the same way you guys are like, oh, what's gonna happen in season 3? Like, I'm still that kid at the candy store too, because we don't know what's gonna happen until we start getting these scripts in. I still, at this point, we start filming top of next year, and I still have no idea where we're gonna be at, what Cyborg's journey is gonna be, what his arc's gonna be, what's happening in the series. And so yeah, I'm just as excited and can't wait to find out, where we're gonna go with it this season. And I know that you guys are gonna love it, because our room patrol, our writers' room, is phenomenal. And yeah, man, I think that's one of the biggest things that makes this show so great. Just like Jeremy Carver and our writing team are top of the notch.
Did they let you guys like ad lib any of the other stuff? Like, you know, like some of the, like, I know like the Still in Stone, like I know that probably was written, but like, did they like let you guys just go?
Yeah. Like Still in Stone, like that was like a whole like kind of like vignette, which was written, but like that is a very good example for the kind of off cuff stuff that they allow us to do. It
Okay.
was very collaborative and like, all right, what should we do in this one? Like, and you know what I mean? Like the director has really strong ideas,
Mm-hmm.
but then also opened it up to like me and Riley and said, you know, what do you guys want to do? Like, how do we want to play
Yeah.
this? And so yeah, that was some of the most fun that I had on season 2 with Still in Stone. And then also the Beekeeper and
Yep.
Borg when we kind of brought that back. So yeah, man, no, it's collaborative. And when it comes to the actual script itself, yes, 100%. You know, we stick to the script, but at the same time, if there's things in which I'm not singing, well, they're always open to having those conversations and getting into that. And also in a position where, you know, if there's things in which it's like, okay, can I address this or you know, have this take on this, or it
Mm-hmm.
says this, but can I say the same thing, but in this way? I feel like it'll be a little more black, or I feel like it'll
Mm-hmm.
be a little more Vic, or a little more, you
Right.
know what I mean? And yeah, they're completely open to that, and it's collaborative, man. So
That's
it's a
dope.
dream team. It's a dream team.
The Still in Stone made me say, I would like to see you in some black exploitation movies. I can see you doing, you know, like you know, like you know, those old school black movies, like just popping out like you jive turkey, like like I can see that because like it was just so dope, like the way that it was shot, the way that y'all were like running around, like it was just hilarious, man. Like that was pretty
Appreciate
dope.
it.
All right, so I wanted to get your take on some music stuff because I was looking into some things and it was like so. It seems like you were a big fan of Drake.
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan of Drake.
Drake, is that your top? Like, who's your top 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 5 rappers
Oh, American, US.
in general?
Oh, because you know why this is so difficult, bro? Because I have a whole world of music in the UK, grime, you
Yeah.
know, rap,
Okay.
hip hop, drill, and then in the US, rap, hip hop.
All right. Let's go US then
So
first. Let's start
so
US.
US 100% Drake, J Cole, Kendrick, Jay-Z. Um, those are probably those are my top of the band in terms of like who I'm like forever grateful for, you know what I
Okay.
mean?
I respect that
And
list.
then I've got, you know, then you got the new school. Like I listen to like the Baby, you know, and a lot of the new cats that are kind of, or that have kind of emerged over the last couple or few years that are kind of, you know, flying that flag right now. But yeah, those are my creme de la creme there. And then in the UK, all of the OGs that we have from, you know, Wretch 32 to Skepta, some of the newer guys, Stormzy, Chip, some of the new guys, Dutchavelli. Yeah, man, I'm
It's all
amongst the
over. Yeah.
array of
That's dope.
yeah, man.
You got to keep that. You got to keep that openness. You got to be able to like, you know, because everybody that you name is not the same sound. And I think that's what's dope. Like that helps you be able to, you know, certain songs for certain moods or things like that. You know, certain things.
Exactly.
Yeah. What's your hype up track? Like when you in your trailer getting ready. What's your hype up go to song?
Oh, definitely. It's got to be grime or drill
Grime.
music.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when it comes to the hype. I'd have to shout out again Dutchavelli. Only If You Knew, that track be hitting. Bando Diaries, that track be hitting as well. But yeah, drill and UK grime is what kind of gets me going.
All right, that's dope. That's dope. So, quick question: when it comes down to, so everybody as a, you know, you always have that one role that you're like, I kind of want that role, or that's like my Moby Dick role. It's like it's the one, the big one that I'm going after. Do you have one of those?
I don't anymore. No, it would have been playing a superhero. It would have been,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
what I'm doing now. That was like, yeah, that was the kind of, oh, I just want to play a superhero. Like that was my thing. But now playing Vic, I have stories in which I want to tell. But I want to do an army movie. I want to do something with the
Oh,
character
there
that I
you
get
go.
to play, a character who is within the army. I love that world and I've always wanted to do something in that space. So that's probably the next kind of big like role or movie type role that I want to do. But yeah, outside of that, no, man, it's for me now. It's just all about storytelling and telling really strong and powerful stories. And yeah, that's the game that I'm in.
That's dope. You know, because you know it's funny because yeah, that is a lot of people's go to. Like, oh, I would love to be a superhero, and then you got that like right out the gate. So it's like, oh, now I can kind of really just, kind of tell some really dope stories, some really important stories. I know a lot of those military army stories and stuff like that or war stories are important because there's so many aspects that people don't think about, or so many aspects and stories that are not told, especially like, again, going back to it, being a black man that had to fight for a country that potentially, not potentially, that at that time, definitely wasn't for us. Like, like those stories are important because like, there's so much in the psyche that people had to go through in those times, and so like to get more of those type of stories, I think we're moving into that realm. You think about things like Lovecraft, where we're diving into the sci-fi horror, but doing it in a really, really dope way, and the things that Jordan Peele is doing and Misha Green, and then just like, just the different type of genres that we're jumping in. I think that now is definitely a time that we are able to get those stories out, those perspectives out, do it at a large scale, and just make some dope content.
That's it, bro. Like, yeah, man, the way that we're evolving now when it comes to television and film and how everything is so synonymous. We're watching these TV shows in which are, whether it be an 8-part series, a 4-part drama, non-returning, and they're movies, or they're starring movie stars, or and that's what I mean by now. It's just about really telling stories, because the TV platform with all these streaming platforms and the movie world, even I'm interested to see what all of the movies over the next 18 months are going to look like. And, a lot of them are being released on, I watched, what was it? Charm City King the other day.
Yeah.
The film with Meek Mill, produced by Will and Jada. And that film was meant to be like a big cinematic release. It ended up on HBO Max. A lot of these films now are going to be on these streaming platforms. And then, so what's the difference between me watching that movie and me watching this 4-part drama or this 8-part series? Is the medium is all the same. So, yeah, man, things are changing, and we have to adapt, we have to evolve, and just keep telling stories in whatever format or medium it might be.
All right. So last question, we always do what we do, kind of like a recommendation, where we recommend something to our listeners. It can be something that you're reading, something that you're watching, something that you're listening to, or anything like that. What would be something that you would like to recommend to our listeners and our viewers?
Something I would like to recommend, I would have to recommend this really, really, it's a really, really powerful spoken word film, which is about police brutality, which is called Wade in the Water.
Yeah.
And it releases today. It releases at 12 p.m. PST, 3 p.m. EST, 7 p.m. GMT. And it's something that I think is going to be extremely thought-provoking, and it's going to change a lot of lives and open a really strong perspective. So definitely check that out. And when you get a chance, read The Alchemist if you haven't already.
Okay, I'll make sure you're going to see a lot of support from the Geekset fan. We're going to make sure that we support that Wade in the Water and everything, and get that pushed out there and everything. All right, so I mean, where can our people find you, man?
You can find me mainly on the IG. That's where I usually reside. So on Instagram at Joivan Wade, Joivan. Also, I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Joivan Wade. Those are the main places I sit. Twitter, I'm fairly active on Twitter. I'm always around at Joivan Wade again. So all social media platforms at Joivan Wade is where you can find me, and check out my website. And if you're interested in my mentoring program and being mentored by me, then head over to my website and yeah, man, sign up to the Wade's World community.
Awesome. Dope. All right, man. This has been One-on-One with Deuces. I have been Deuces. This has been Joivan Wade, and we are out.
You like that video? Man, thank you for watching. We truly appreciate it. We got so many more videos on our page, so make sure you check them out over here. Hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell so that way you can always be notified anytime we release a new video. You already know how Geekset get down. We got so much coming for y'all, man. Check it out. Stay in tune.
There was a time where hip-hop culture and geek culture were at odds.